So I'm just making this video just to describe the journey of coaching so that I can look back on this in the future just to see the progress. But when I started coaching, a lot of the things I did were based off of what I had known growing up, what I had seen, what I had heard just through decades of playing in the game, seeing other coaches, and I always believed in creativity and never telling players how to play the game whenever they were on the field. But there were some other things that I did that were not very conducive for the best style of coaching that I've come to learn today. And I've been coaching now for exactly or about 5 years, 1 month. And with one of my teams, it's been very harsh because we have a long, long history of losing a lot of games. Most of our time has been in periods where it's not a matter of if we will lose, it's by how much will we. But last year, it took a turn, and we actually we qualified for a league in the summer, and we finished first in that division, and we got promoted. And I was thinking, hey, looks like we're actually improving. And I coached. Of course, I did learn coaching, different ways of coaching throughout that time, but I wouldn't say it was anything radical. It was subtle things here and there. And I always want to do what I can to become better. I don't care what situation I'm in. Even winning, that I knew that I didn't know that much, and I always wanted to do what I could to be better. So even though we won, I knew there were things that I didn't do very well and that I had to become better. That's something that's just inside of me. It's not something that I really have to work hard to do. It's just there has to be something better that I can do. Even if I'm the best of the best in anything, which I'm not, but there has to be something better I can solve. So in the following summer, spring/summer, found out some new things that caused me to radically change how I've been coaching. So that was about it's November now. That was about May, maybe May. There were some other things that I had learned with again throughout coaching, the years I've been coaching, and there were some very very good things that I was learning, but it was nothing radical, but it was still really good stuff. And now I see that in the process of learning something new, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was on the right. And then now I see that although I was on the right, some of the things I was doing were good, but there were just better ways to do them. And now for these 5 or 6 months, 4 months that I've 3 months that I've been I say and I'm saying these 7 to 3 months, 6 to 3 months, because there's a lot of things that are changing in my style of coaching. And we got promoted and we're just losing. It's not like losing to where, oh, we lost 2-1. Oh, last minute of the game. These are like games where you're just losing convincingly. Um in hindsight, not necessarily other teams are playing better, not because they're necessarily better teams or that fundamentally better, but it's just that their style of play is so successful against what we're doing. Keep in mind this is under 12, so the kids are 11 and 12 years old, and it's we're getting beat so convincingly that it's almost like, am I going back? Am I going backwards because coaching of a style of coaching now that is causing me to abandon what I do and what I see everybody else doing, or almost everybody else doing, and going into something that is completely out of my comfort zone. And then I'm in that zone where I'm like, is what I'm doing even right? Like I read research papers, I purchase courses, I study not just the game itself, but psychology of kids, psychology of humans, and I go pretty deep in the research, but just changing my way of coaching and seeing the opposite of the results that I want to see. As much as I pride myself on not looking at results, especially for kids, when you lose every game convincingly, man, it's hard to really stay that course. And I empathize with coaches who don't do something when they don't see results quickly, because they will feel the pressure, the real pressure, not made up pressure, of parents and kids losing games and parents and kids wanting to leave their teams because they're losing games, and therefore them not having a team. Um, in this process of mine right now, I'm beginning to have a lot of empathy for coaches who resort to the short term methods because it buys them time. And with this team I've had about 2 years ago, half my team left. I went from 12 players to 6 players, so I almost didn't have a team. But it just so happens with me, I would rather lose a team doing the right thing long term than keep a team knowing that I'm doing the incorrect things short term. And maybe that has to do with my life circumstances. But on having empathy for coaches, I look at the results of my team now and I'm like, man, uh, for me to feel this bad, I can't imagine how the parents feel and how the players feel. And it's just trying to stay in this process that I have. One of the most important things I think, I can only say I think, that I heard is when someone from France in a conference I met said that the problem isn't that, or the thing isn't that there's one method that's better than the other. It's how long will you stick to a certain method? Because many times when you change something, you don't see the results you want, especially when it comes to developing kids, especially at 11 and 12 years old, thinking about long term development. And you see these other people doing the things that you used to do, and they're getting the results that you wish you had. That's the hard part. Because if I stayed with the style of coaching that I had, I would see better results now. If I stayed with that style, if I did what everybody else was doing, I would have better results than what I do now. And after this last game of the season, I felt so down because of, again, of how we lost. I felt so bad, uh questioning so many things about these new things that I'm learning. Is this the right way? What am I doing wrong? And Yeah, I almost felt like depressed for lack of a better word. I don't think depressed is how I felt, but for lack of a better word, I'll say depressed, but I was very down for like a day or two. A little bit better now. But I make this video because I am going to follow this process. I don't know where this process is going to take me exactly, especially doing something that is not commonly practiced and that I haven't done before, going against my old methods. But just to mention how, or just to show how important it is to stick with what you believe to be right, even when it doesn't feel good or it doesn't feel right, and you have the tendency to want to go back to what you were doing because you don't see the results short term. And I make this video because I think there's something that is to be said when you're going through it at the moment, how a message is conveyed versus how it is when you're already successful at something or when you've already achieved your goal. When you've already achieved your goal, your message is not spoken. When you've already achieved your goal, your message is spoken with a conviction that is hard to relate to for others who are not at that place yet. So I make this video so that the difficulty of staying on such a journey can be seen in the moment and not after everything is done. Because sometimes when everything is done, you can kind of forget the exact feeling that you were in. You know it was bad, but you didn't know how it affected you. This season really affected me emotionally, um, almost more than playing, because you feel responsible also for the development of other kids. And I want to do the right thing. I obsess about doing the right thing. For me, this is not a hobby. This is really a life commitment to using soccer as a tool to bring out the best development in people. I hate to reduce the players to players. I would say people. So people would be the word I would use to bring out the best development in people, because I don't want it to be just soccer. I want it to be beyond soccer. I want them to excel in any endeavor that they pursue as adults. I don't really care that much about whether they become pros or whether they go Division 1 college. I don't care about that. What I really care is that this experience of development and going through lows and more lows before seeing improvement, thinking you're improving, and then going back down, and the character that you gain from this experience is, and then finally seeing and achieving the goal, is what I want them to use in life.